Significant news coming out of the EFL. It concerns them and the Championship leaders, Leicester. Our senior reporter, Rob Dawson, is here. Rob, tell us more.
Mike, this is slightly complicated, but I'm going to try and explain it to you in the simplest terms that I've had to go through. This is breaking news. It's just come via a statement from the EFL where they say they are looking to potentially change their financial rules going forward from this point because they believe that Leicester City have exploited a loophole between the Premier League and the EFL, who both have slightly different rules when it comes to the financial restraints that clubs have to abide by. OK? Now, every Championship club has to submit its accounts to the EFL on the 1st of March, so 5 days ago in our case, and that projects what they're going to do until the end of their financial year. The end of the financial year for clubs, typically, in Leicester's case, I think it is the end of June. So Leicester, we need to point out here, have not breached the rules. They have not breached the EFL's financial rules, but the accounts they filed on March the 1st suggested that they were in line to breach the rules by the end of the season.
OK.
Now, of course, Leicester could quite easily argue, well, we could sell a player, we could reduce our costs, we could increase our revenues. Hey, we're top of the Championship, we're presumably going to get some prize money before the end of June, which might bring us back in line so that we weren't going to breach the EFL rules. But when the EFL hear that a club is in line to breach their financial rules, they make them submit to certain criteria, one of which is a business plan. And they say, look, we need to know that you are serious about getting back in line with your financial commitments. And so we want to agree a business plan with you that you have to stick to make sure that you're in line by the end of the season. OK? Leicester refused to do that, the EFL have told us today in this statement. And they instead said, because we were in the Premier League, the EFL rules don't apply to us in this instance. The EFL said, yeah, well, we still think they do. Leicester put that case to an independent commission to hear. And the independent commission has now decided in the club's favour. So they've said, yeah, these rules do not apply to Leicester because they were in the Premier League at the time. The EFL rules do not apply to them. So in effect, Leicester have exploited a loophole here and managed to not be submitted to an EFL business plan. The EFL don't like it, and the EFL are going to talk to the Premier League about trying to bring their financial rules more in line going forward from here. But important to stress, and this is really important, Leicester were in line. They were projecting that they might breach the EFL's financial rules by the end of this season. They are not in breach of those rules. They could have sold a player, they could have changed their financial situation, they could have come back in line. What they didn't want to do was be ruled by the EFL here and told how they needed to do their business. And the Independent Commission has found in their favour and said, yeah, you didn't need to, the rules did not apply to you. But significant, not just for Leicester City, not just for the EFL, but for Championship clubs, Premier League clubs going forward, that the EFL now want to change their own financial rules so that this can't happen again in the future.
It would seem to suggest that Leicester need to go up, though.
Potentially. I mean, Leicester have always sold one of their biggest players, or tend to sell one of their biggest players each summer window, make a good profit on it and reinvest that money elsewhere. They may be planning to do the same again for all we know, so they could be compliant. But it's pretty clear they're sailing quite close to the financial rules, sailing quite close to the wind on this in this situation. But they're hoping they get back up to the Premier League where their financial situation changes overnight as well. That's why it's so complicated. And it is complicated, Mike, because in the Premier League, we know that over 3 seasons, under the current profit and sustainability rules, clubs are allowed to lose £105 million over a 3-year period. Well, in Leicester's case, there was only 2 years in the Premier League, so that's £70 million, yeah? 2 lots of 35. Okay. And in the EFL, you're allowed to lose £13 million each season. So Leicester could only lose £83 million over the last 3 years. That's what you need to know. That's the magic figure. £83 million is what Leicester were allowed to lose. And the accounts that they submitted to the EFL suggested they were going to go beyond £83 million in losses. That's why the EFL said, right, submit to our business plan there. Leicester went, no. And now it's gone to an independent tribunal who've found in Leicester's favour. So, as I say, important to state, Leicester haven't broken any rules here, but they refuse to submit to the EFL's business plan. The EFL don't like that, and they're going to change their rules as best they can going forward.